Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Chicago, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Thursday, February 3rd, 2022, the day after a Groundhog Day. That's not a particularly notable day. I just thought that I'd mention it for some reason. And we're here. Another snowy day, just like yesterday. So maybe that's why I'm mentioning that it feels like Groundhog Day today. But hopefully you guys are doing well. Everyone listening in on the podcast. Hopefully you're having a good run out there today. Hopefully it's not too snowy where you are. Here in Chicago, we got lots of snow drifts, even though we didn't get, at least not in Chicago, that second round of snow all that bad. I think they're getting it further south, further south in Indiana and also further north up towards Wisconsin. But Chicago is like a little band of area where we're missing all the worst of that snow. So we're doing okay. Hopefully you guys are doing okay too. And everyone watching this on YouTube later, not live, welcome to you guys as well. Hopefully you're sitting back at a time of day where you can relax, have a recovery beverage. I've got some coffee, some afternoon coffee today, and I'm going to be trying it with some Laird Superfood Creamer, which is what I'm going to be trying out for today's happy hour because today is Thursday. This Laird Superfood Creamer is supposed to be adding an energy boost to your coffee, tea, and smoothies. I'm reading off the package now. And it harnesses the benefits of coconut plus Aquaman to help power you through the day. I could use that. That sounds great. I think the main thing is that it has, I don't know what Aquaman is. It's calcium from marine algae. That's what it says on the ingredient list. And then it also has medium chain triglycerides, MCTs, which I did a little bit of research, very cursory research. I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist. And it's supposed to help with when you're exercising, burning more fat than you do carbs. So for those of us that are in the endurance sports, that sounds like a fantastic thing to have if that works. So we'll try it. We'll see how it tastes. That's the most important thing for me right now. And then if it has some of those other benefits too, great. If it doesn't, at least it'll taste good. Hopefully. We'll try that in just a second. But first, let's see who we got in the chat. We've got someone, I'm afraid I don't know how to read that, but they're saying hi. So what's going on to you guys? And then Frank is coming in as well. Says he's got pineapple juice today for happy hour. That sounds delicious. He says, I'm convinced it's good for joints. Isn't it an anti-inflammatory? So maybe it would be good for joints if your joints are inflamed. And usually when people have problem with their joints, that is the issue. JC says, hello, Co. at all. It's a stay home / snow day. Mostly sleep, really. All right, there you go. Staying safe. Love it. Jeff Elliott says, hi. And Chai Shuffle Runner says, what's up, everyone? What's going on, Chai Shuffle Runner? And Martha drank some kefir after her treadmill run today. That sounds nice. I wish I liked kefir. I just feel like it tastes like sour yogurt all the time. I can never get into it. It sounds like a drink that I would like, but I've never gotten into it. Steve says, hi, gang. And Daniel M says, good news. The heat power water is still on in Austin, and at least in his part. Are there some parts that are losing power and water? I know this is about the time last year when you guys got hit with that crazy ice storm and like pandemonium ensued. It was a wild time for you guys. My buddy that lives down there, like I saw on Instagram, he and his wife were like filling their coolers with snow. And I was like, what are you guys doing over there? And he's like, we're going to melt it so we have drinking water. And I was like, what? And like, the water pipes are all frozen. I was like, that's crazy. So yeah, hopefully you guys won't have a repeat of that situation. Andrew Hahn says, my recovery drink right now is Mellow Yellow, LOL. Basically eliminated soda from the diet, but it looks so good while I line at Panda Express. Nice. I love that. You know what? I'll tell you, I do miss, now that I don't like go downtown for work, I used to always eat lunch, like buy lunch downtown. I know some people are really good about like bringing their own lunches. It's probably a much healthier way to live. But I would always buy lunch. My thinking being like, I always wanted to make sure I ate with someone for lunch. Just that way, I would, if possible, pull someone else away from eating at their desk. I ended up eating at my desk a lot too, but that was always kind of the idea. And I miss like the whole, like, going for a walk to get lunch somewhere else and then eating it there or back at the office together. Like I miss that. Panda Express was always one of my favorite. I know it's terrible food, but I just absolutely love Panda Express. I'm a big fan. So I'm feeling quite envious, Andrew. That's good. The Mellow Yellow, I'll pass on the Mellow Yellow. but you know, the Panda Express, that sounds good. Running and Pizza is going a different route. It says drinking Scratch Hydration peach flavor for today's recovery drink. I don't know that I've ever had the peach, and that sounds absolutely delicious. I'm really thirsty right now. Like I didn't drink enough when I came back from my run today, I think, and I'm thirsty. And that peach sounds so delicious. I'm gonna have to get some of that. Mika's got some mushroom. Man, you guys are coming in hot today. Love it. Mika's got mushroom pasta and sparkling water. Oh yeah, I have my bubble water consumption has also gone down precipitously since I don't go to an office anymore. Mushroom pasta and sparkling water. Tried squeezing lime in the pasta sauce. Doesn't work with the mushrooms. Yeah, I don't know that I would have gone that way. But you know, you got to try it. Try it before you can figure some of that stuff out. Martha says that kefir is liquid yogurt, but it comes in nice sweet flavors like raspberry. I know, but it always tastes off to me. But then again, I used to say that about Greek yogurt too, and now like I only get Greek yogurt. But I feel like nowadays Greek yogurt doesn't taste as tangy as Greek yogurt used to. And maybe if we get in Faye, but like some of the other stuff that I get, I don't think it's really Greek yogurt. I think it just says it on it to help it sell, maybe. Jason Y says, Yo, Cohen family. He's got chocolate milk of Coke. Chocolate milk and Coke, I think, maybe. That's a weird combo. If it's chocolate milk and Coke. Or is it chocolate milk and cake? I'm not sure where that goes. Either way, got some strange. No matter how you slice that up, unless it's just chocolate milk and cake, then that's fine. That sounds great. But I'm not going to judge. I'm guessing it works if you're doing it. All right. JC says with his power update, Texas is hanging in there with power so far. Some tree limbs bringing power lines down is a main risk. Okay. All right. Yeah, I saw some of the weathers in like Houston today. I think Houston's supposed to be like 34 degrees, right? So, I mean, that's pretty cold. I mean, that's colder than it was here 2 days ago. Chicago was like 45 degrees the other day, the first day we got back. Since then, it's gotten much colder. But it was like high 30s in Florida that day, and everyone was like, oh, it's so cold here. And it was cold. So you guys get that kind of chill. Can be dangerous. All right. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, catch up to you guys in the chat while I open up this Laird Superfood. So calorically, they suggest you use a tablespoon, even though the serving size is 3/4 of a teaspoon. What? Makes no sense. Anyway, so 45 calories, 3 grams fat, 10 milligrams sodium, 4 grams carbohydrates, no protein, and like calcium, it's only 74 milligrams of calcium, so not a ton. Some potassium and magnesium, but minuscule amounts, 1% of the RDA. So let's try it. They're supposed to add a tablespoon to 8 ounces of hot coffee or tea. I didn't bring a tablespoon with me. I did bring a spoon, a soup spoon, though. So we'll see. I'll eyeball it. We'll guess. Now, I've tried other MCT products before from Unimed. And if I recall correctly, it just made everything very like viscous. It made everything thick and goopy, almost like not gelatinous, but kind of like if you added a slurry to something, like if you added a cornstarch slurry to something, it's kind of what it tastes like. All right, I'm gonna say that this is a tablespoon. It's probably more than a tablespoon. Actually, I think it's pretty close. And I'll add it to my coffee. I'm not drinking it in my normal coffee cup, though, because I wanted to make sure I had lots of room to stir. Because I have a feeling the stuff's not going to mix very well. Because it says on the package, it warns you like 3 or 4 times on the package that it's going to be clumpy. And why it's going to be clumpy, it's because there's no like additives or declumping agents. Now I can't get, I hate when this happens. It's a Ziploc kind of top, but I can't get it to re-zip. This is going to take a while. Sorry, guys. I'm going to leave that open for now. All right. Ben N says, hey, Mike, so super chat function seems to have gone. I always listen to these after the fact on my runs and would like to support the channel. You know, I think that because I'm on a new channel now, sorry, I'm going to be stirring while I do this. I think because I've started this new channel, I don't think I have enough subscribers to unlock that super chat feature. So that might be it. So Ben, I appreciate that so much, and I'm glad that you're watching on YouTube. And I'm glad to have you here live. But in these days, though, if you don't see the super chat, what I would love for you to do, it maybe takes a little effort, and I need to do a better job of putting something in the description of these live streams. Is we're doing the charity run of the week program. So like anything that you might have wanted to do supporting me in terms of a super chat, if you just want to go and make a donation to whoever the charity run of the week is, that'd be pretty awesome too. So either way, whatever you're comfortable with doing. All right. Well, thank you though. Thanks so much, Ben. Let's see. Vidang wants me to tell the Vertigo story. Yeah, I will. Let me go to it real quick though. There was something else that I wanted to get to. Because Martha is answering a question to saying I was bet he was given that when he had swag from a media pass at Western States. Yeah, that is when I got this this top. It's a quarter zip. It's really warm. It's kind of like that like performance fleece type of material on the inside. Let's see if we get the camera to focus. See this stuff right here? I love this stuff. So it's like as warm as fleece, but it breathes so much better because there's all these like grooves and stuff, and that makes it very breathable. So it's lightweight, but it's super, super warm. And I'm chilly. I was just super chilly today. The kids, because there's snow on the ground, they just want to play in the snow on the way to school. So what's normally a 15-minute walk has been taking like 30 or 40 minutes because they just want to stop and play. It's getting to the point where the snow is super gross. So like there's not much more playing they're going to be able to do. But yesterday's walk took 40 minutes because there was like lots of really clean snow and they were just playing in it. It took forever. But I've been just really cold. So extra warm for me today. All right. Now let's go back to the Vertigo story. Yeah. Where'd that go? Who asked that? Someone wanted to know about the Vertigo. Oh, Vidang wanted to know the Vertigo story. So I used to have this bad vertigo, and let me leave that up there for a little while while I'm telling the story. And it was when I was not exercising, and what it would feel like is I would just be kind of standing there, sometimes just sitting on the couch. It wasn't motion dependent. A lot of people's vertigo is like I tilted my head a certain way or I got up funny and all of a sudden then I got dizzy. Mine wasn't like that way. I would just be kind of standing and all of a sudden it would be like someone like kind of like punched me with motion sickness. I would just get motion sick real fast. And it was a real weird feeling. And it would sometimes last 5 seconds, most of the time about 30 seconds, other times like a couple minutes. And sometimes it was just as brief as or as non-interfering as kind of like, oh, I just don't, give me a second. I don't feel good right now. And other times it would be like, I need to lie down. And if I needed to lie down, it usually was a longer one. And then I would just be exhausted as if I'd just gone for a run or something. And I'd be tired for the next several hours. So it was really weird. They did all the tests to see if it was something like ear crystals or something. Sometimes they get dislodged, or as you get older, sometimes they get in the wrong spot. Basically, your body has its own kind of gyros in it. Basically, these little crystals that float in fluid. And when the crystals end up in the wrong spot somehow, usually when you get kicked in the head or something, or if you're in a traumatic injury like a car accident, sometimes the crystals can get shoved or stuck somewhere in the wrong spot. And then that will kind of trigger your internal gyro in your ear. And it'll make you feel your brain and your visuals will be receiving different messages. And that's when you start to get motion sick. Kind of like when you're reading in a car and that looks like the text is straight and nothing's happening to it, but you're actually moving in a car. That dissonance in your brain is what causes motion sickness from when it comes to reading. Kind of same thing with if you're motion sick on a boat. And so, but that wasn't it. So there's all these tests you can do to figure out if you have that kind of motion sickness or that kind of vertigo. I didn't have that. So I saw a neurologist, I saw an ear guy, I saw everybody. And I think I don't remember if I had a CAT scan or not. Let me taste this coffee, by the way. Oh, this is tasty. This is good. It's not sweet though. I kind of want to add some sugar to it, even though I'm sure this went through like great lengths to not have sugar in it. I mean, it has some great organic coconut sugar in it, but like it's tasty. This is good. It adds a nice body to it. It does kind of like have little clumps floating around in the coffee. But I kind of like it. It also changes the it kind of dries out your mouth a little bit. So there's like a not an aftertaste, but there's an after feeling to it that I don't think is super pleasant, but also makes you want to drink more of it. So maybe that's a good thing. But overall, I mean, if you're looking for a creamer, and you want it to be lower in sugar, I kind of like that one. Or if you're looking for a way to incorporate medium chain triglycerides, that's a good one. I like this one. So with the Vertigo, that's just kind of like what it was. And it got to the point where my doctor was like, I mean, how bad is it? If you want, you can just start taking Dramamine every day. And I'm like, I don't know, doc. Dramamine makes me take a nap every time. And he's like, oh, that's where you're at. And I'm like, okay. I mean, we checked a whole bunch of things. I wore like a heart rate monitor for like 30 days. And it's a special kind of heart rate monitor that anytime your heart rate either spikes or drops, it like sends a text to an agency and they call you to be like, what were you just doing right now? So they get information and they log it. And it also just logged over 30 days every time there was like spikes or dips in my heart rate. And it was kind of like you try to find it would like beep. And then you're supposed to, if it's not serious enough to initiate a phone call, you're supposed to write down like what you were doing at the time. Like, were you exercising? Were you going upstairs? Were you laying down? Did you just stand up quickly? That kind of thing. So they couldn't figure out what it was. And then they were just like, all right, you're going to have to take Dramamine or you're just going to be dizzy. And I was like, that's great. I'm like, but you guys are sure I'm not having like little mini strokes, right? And they're like, yeah, you're not having strokes. And I'm like, how do you know I'm not having mini strokes? He goes, if you were having mini strokes, you'd be dead by now. And I'm like, what? He's like, well, we've been treating you for about a year and a half. And it's been about the same. Your dizziness has gotten a little bit worse, but like mini strokes don't kind of stay just about the same or maybe a little bit worse over the course of a year and a half. So it's not mini strokes. I'm like, okay. I guess I asked the question, but that wasn't the most reassuring rationale, but okay. So that was a Vertigo. And so I was like, okay, I guess this is it. And then right around that time, my running buddy was like, hey, you want to run a 10-mile race? He used to run. And I was like, at that time, I'd already been like, all right, I got to get over this. I just got to figure out a way to live with it. So I started bike commuting using the bike share bikes. And sometimes I would have to stop because I would get dizzy and I would just stop and stand by the bike and wait for the dizziness to pass. And then I would get back on the bike. So I was starting to get back fit again. And then my buddy asked if I wanted to run a race. So I started running more regularly instead of just biking. And also, we had some dietary changes we had to make at home. So we were going plant-based or vegetarian. So we did both of those things at the same time. And then after like 3 months of that, I was like, hey, I'm not getting dizzy anymore. So that's kind of it. That's the story. Long story. That's the Vertigo. But I don't get Vertigo anymore. So yeah. Jeff Elliott says if they would call and say, why was your heart rate up? It's business time. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Sean Marshall says, Megan Featherstone says, coffee counts as hydration until you exceed your regular dosage. Then it depletes. I suppose this means we could train our bodies to use more coffee for H2O. Maybe. If we can train that, then my body must be trained because I've been training it for a long time. Yeah, I mean, I suppose. But what's the regular dosage? I'm sure I blow past the regular dosage for coffee on a regular basis every day. But this is good. This MCT, this tastes better than the other MCTs I was taking from Unived. Because that one just tasted like I was putting it tasted like I was putting a powder in my drink. This actually tastes like kind of like a creamer. It smells nice. It gives the coffee a coconut smell, which on the other hand, if you're a coffee like purist, you want to smell the coffee. I'm not smelling the coffee. I'm smelling the coconut. it smells like I'm eating an Almond Joy, which is a pleasant experience for me. So I don't know. C-Town fan says, "Wow, learned something today. Hope you can recover from it, Mike." Yeah, I don't really consider myself as having vertigo anymore. It's been a while since I've had kind of like an episode, and the winter is usually the worst. One of the most common ways that I would get it is when I went from in my office to walking somewhere. Like if I had to go to a meeting, there used to be times where you could probably find me around like I used to schedule a lot of my meetings for like after lunch because that's when I usually get really not productive. So I would always schedule meetings for like around anywhere between 1 and 3. And you could probably find me most days in Chicago, standing like next to a traffic light signal or like a light post, just waiting there. Cause I'd be like, I'm dizzy right now. I can't go anywhere. So I'd be like waiting to cross the street, but I'm like, I want to wait till I'm not dizzy before I try to cross the street in a busy downtown area. So yeah. So I mean, it changed once I started getting better from it. It changed to, I felt like kind of like how people describe anxiety attacks. When they experience their triggers, they feel that they're about to have the anxiety attack, and that also gives them anxiety. I would get that feeling too. I'd feel like I'm about to get dizzy, like my body was getting ready to be in that like dizzy state, and I would have that, but never went to being dizzy. And then after, it's been probably a couple of years since I've had a dizzy spell. So knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't change. But I always attribute it to probably the combination of running and eating mostly plants. And so that's why I continue to do both. Yeah, Sean Marshall said, like, is there the lay on the bed trick? Yeah, we did that and it never could elicit. So if you lay on the bed, I think with like your head off of the edge of the bed and then sit up real fast, you have to turn to the left and like lay back with your head dangling over the edge of the bed and then sit up. There's like a test. I forget what it's called. It's named after the person that invented it. And then if you get dizzy from that, then it's because of the crystals in your ear. So I had done all of that. You want to know what one of the scariest doctor's offices to be in is the neurology vertigo clinic. That is a scary place. This was one time they put me in to do a test. That's how I figure it. That's how they diagnosed me with some sort of something nystagmus, where basically like one of my eyes sometimes like twitches. It doesn't like look the other way, but sometimes it like thinks about it and then it has to kind of like get brought back into place. And they thought that might be why I'm getting dizzy. But before they put, and that's a weird thing. They put like virtual reality goggles on you and there's cameras that look at your eye and stuff. And it's really weird. But there's this other room that they'd put you in, and it basically is this tall tube, and there's a chair inside, and the door slides shut, kind of like being in like if you were in like the shower in like an RV kind of thing. And it's like it's a curved sliding plastic door, and then once it shuts, I don't know if you spin. I still to this day I don't know. I don't know if you spin or the walls spin, but they're vertical black and white stripes, and then there's like strobe lights that turn on. And so you just see the room spinning around at like different speeds, and it's all these weird optical illusions that are happening. And when they put me in the thing, before they put me in the thing, they put this other younger girl in this thing. She was maybe like young adult, late teens, early 20s maybe. And like all I saw, she went in there, and then after like 2 minutes, the thing started whirring up. And after 2 minutes, she's like screaming. She's like yelling, "Stop this thing, stop it. I got to get out. I want to throw up." And she's like screaming about it. And she's like banging on the doors and just having like a freak out, a full on freak out. And they take her out and they're like, "You're fine, you're fine, you're fine." Well, the test is definitely positive. And they're like, I was like, "What, you think?" And then after that, they're like, "All right, your turn. You go in." And I was like, "You want me to go in there right now?" Did she throw up in there? It was weird. It was super weird. Yeah, that's a weird space. That was the weirdest doctor's office I've ever been to. And then that guy, ended up being an expert in a trial that I was working on like 2 months later. And I was like, oh, I know Dr. Shepard. He's really good. Excellent doctor. It was really weird. Yeah, Martha says this combo is the polar opposite of our usual good food talk. Yeah, sorry is a little bit of a downer, but that's the Vertigo story. But we can change the subject. All right. Yeah, Tracy Smith is the wrong conversation for post lunch. Yeah, sorry about that. Shannon says, "Hey, co-fam. Co. I remember you used to have the vertigo symptoms and the nystagmus have symptoms. No. Someone asked about it earlier. Like, what was the story? So that's why you're just going back over it. Yeah. One thing that I've been doing, Octavia Vittel, helping us change the subject to chicharrones. One thing I've been doing is I've been noticing that my wife is really terrible about eating lunch. And I mean, I always kind of assume that, but because she's been working from home since before the pandemic. And I noticed over the last 2 years that like she basically will not eat anything, and then she'll like burst out of the room after having been on like a string of phone calls and like rummage through the cupboards for anything she can find. And I was just like, this is not good for you. So I've been trying to make sure I make her lunch lately. And I've been making her just kind of like grazing plates. Because, she's sitting at a computer. She's in meetings. I'm not going to make her like like a veggie burger or something. So like I've been making her like slicing up some cheese, some veggies. I put some almond butter on a spoon. And I gave her some pieces of celery, some dried fruit. Been boiling some eggs. I've been doing that for her. So, and then like to, bring it down a notch, then I also serve it with a little side of potato chips because you got to have something crunchy, salty, right? So that's what I've been doing. I've been pretty good about making her breakfast every day because she usually just has to get up and start working right away. So because she works with a lot of developers in India, so like once a week she has a really early call, and then a lot of the people she works with on the West Coast, so her hours are crazy. So I've been trying to like do a better job. I got to earn that trophy husband title, so like I gotta make sure I support her a little bit better. So that's what I've been trying to do. Jeff Elliott says, I used to keep protein cookies with me for if I missed lunch, I had low blood sugar. At the office, I used to have like a bunch of bars. My favorite are Kind bars, but those have lots of peanuts in them, so we don't eat them at home. We don't buy them for a home. And I wish that they would just like make one that was a little bit more safe to have around my daughter. But yeah, that's always a good one because then it's like satisfying. You don't feel too bad about it, Daniel M says, what's a much nicer subject? Loose meat sandwiches. That's funny. I haven't had a loose meat sandwich in a while. I was going to make them. And I bought like veggie meat crumble. They make kind of like, it looks like ground beef, but it's made out of plants. And I was gonna get it, but I always do self-checkout at the grocery store. And at the grocery store, because at the grocery store, they have regular checkout now. I mean, they still have like the plexiglass and stuff. But if you do that and have them do the checking, I don't know if they're allowed to now, but like the last time I tried it, they were like, we're not allowed to, for COVID reasons, use your bags. We have to put them in plastic bags or paper bags. And so if you want to use your own shopping bags, you got to go to the self-checkout thing. So I've been using the self-checkout. And I tried to buy this plant ground beef substitute thing so I can make loose meat sandwiches. And I scan it and it didn't recognize. So I was like, you know what? Never mind. I don't want this. So the lady came over and she's like, can I help you? Because of, the light flashes overhead when there's a problem. And I'm like, it's not recognizing what this is. So I don't want it. It's a lot of hassle. She's like, okay. So there was that. Maybe I'll try again. We'll have some loose meat sandwiches for the mukbang coming up soon. Brendan says, the Velocity Nitro 2 is listed as coming soon on the Puma Canada website. I shall soon get my new shoe fix. My withdrawal shall end soon. Yeah, what's funny is I haven't been a lot of new shoes coming in through my place either. I don't know why, but everything looks really yellow in here today. What's going on? But as soon as I said that, the color changed. Now everything's like the right color. Isn't that weird? Anyway, and so like my wife's like, "Hey, you haven't been filming shoes lately." I'm like, "I know." She's like, "Everything okay? What's going on?" And I'm like, "It's fine. They're just it's February, January. There's not a lot of new shoes to come out. Not a lot to film." She's like, "Okay, just making sure." But yeah, I saw that. I didn't realize it was coming out so soon, but I guess last year the Deviate Nitro and all those shoes did come out early in the year. Kind of like I felt like it was an interesting move because then I felt like it was a good power move because then when everyone else was doing all their releases in May and June, they were getting ahead of it. Maybe it wasn't the most timely, but at least they were able to dominate like the news cycle. So it's like that was a good move. So maybe that's what they're doing again. Yeah, cool. Awesome. I want to try that Nitro too. I didn't try the Velocity Nitro 2 Velocity Nitro last year. I did the Liberate and the Deviate. This year I'd like to try the Velocity, and then I want to try that Fast R. That foam, it's so lightweight. It reminds me a lot of ZoomX. I wasn't able to try it on, but like holding it and like you slap it because you're like it feels like ZoomX. Is it noisy? And it's super noisy. So I was like, all right, okay. But I mean, Annie Frisbee and Dakota Lindworm both ran in. I think they both ran in the Fast R's for a Houston half. So some people have the shoe. It's exciting. It's very exciting. All right, I'm gonna scroll down, keep up with you guys. Is here. It says, "Hi, Kafoos and everybody. Just in from circuit training. Water rower session earlier. Awesome. Very cool. I've never tried a water rower. I would like to try that. See, I think it depends on how I'm sitting. And make the camera, like the auto color is going crazy today. If I sit over here, everything turns yellow. If I sit over here, everything, the color's right. All right. Jeff Elliott says, in terms of like the ground beef substitute, he says Trader Joe's has a ground beef, quote unquote, air quotes, thing that's pretty good in things like chili. See, that's the thing I want to make. I haven't made a lot of chilies since we went vegetarian, so I guess that's been that's been a long time now. It was before the baby was born, and she's 5, so it's been like 5 years. So I do miss having like a nice chili that I can eat, and then usually my family eats it the first day, and then I eat the rest of it over like the following week. So, but you know what we've been eating? Amy's. I think that's the brand. Amy's makes a really good vegetarian chili, which I've been enjoying that quite a bit. I did have some of that for lunch actually today. That's a pretty decent one. It looks and smells like dog food when it comes out of the can. I'm going to be very honest, but it's tasty. Every time I make it, my wife's like, "What did you cook in here?" So, yeah, but I'm like, it's good. It's chili. Sean Marshall wants to know, what's the worst running shoe name? I'm not a huge fan of the Fast Dash R. I don't love that one. What's the worst shoe name? Which ones are bad? I think the ones that are tough are like the ones that have numbers in them because of the way that shoes are named, right? Like shoes either have like number versions. I mean, they don't usually have years, but like they'll have number versions. But like the GT2000 from Asics, like that one's hard because then you have to say that I'm looking at, like when I was doing the review, I'm like, today I'm taking a look at the GT2008, not the GT2008, the GT2000 -8. There's no dash, but it's number 8. You know, that one was hard. Those are always difficult. And like the SL20, like, why didn't they make the next one SL21? I don't know. Instead, they made it the SL20, and they just keep calling it the SL20. And so people call it the SL20.2. I think Ed Bud made a video about the SL20.3. I don't know if that's out yet or if he saw that coming. But like, how are we supposed to talk about these things? Like, there's no way that that's search engine optimized. It's difficult for people to talk about them. Because then if you're like the SL23, it's not SL23, it's the SL20.3, but they don't call it the .3 at Adidas. So I don't know. Those are frustrating ones, I think, in terms of running shoes names. Martin thinks that the Brooks Beast is that's a shoe, right? There is a shoe called the Brooks Beast, not just the team. Or is it just the team? I think it's fine as a team name. Eric says the Vongo is not a great name for a shoe, just saying, even though I like that shoe. New Balance went crazy for a while with their shoe names, right? Remember that? Remember the Zante? There was like 6 different kinds of Zantes, and you were like, what is happening with all these Zantes? None of it makes sense. And then they had the Vongo, and then you were like, are these shoes running shoes or are these shoes casual shoes? I couldn't tell because then sometimes the lines got blurred. I felt like some of the Zantes were not intended for running, and like it was a mess. And then they were like, so you either have from New Balance these crazy names like Vongo and Zante that I don't know how to keep them straight because there's multiple kinds of Vongos and multiple kinds. Maybe there weren't multiple kind of Vongos, but there are multiple kinds of Zantes. And then the other side is like 860. And you're like, what? Well, it makes sense. It's a numbering system. I'm like, you want me to remember a numbering system? So yeah, New Balance they were in trouble for a while. I felt like they were trying to figure themselves out. I'm glad that at some point someone came through and was like, this is too many SKUs. We got too many units. We gotta figure this out, straighten it up. And now it makes more sense to me. Although then this year they're doing instead of the RC Elite 3, it's the SC Elite 3, even though there's no SC Elite 2 or 1. So the RC is becoming SC, and then they're just adding another 3 to it, a number to it, even though it's a first year for the SC Elite. So I guess maybe, I don't know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Maybe with New Balance. But you know what else I always really get confused, just to be fair to a lot of people? I mean, for a long time, Hoka, I mean, just because I'm wearing the Hoka thing today, which I was thinking about this today, and I guarantee that this logo is this high up specifically for this type of situation. For when you're getting photographed, you know, like a headshot, or if you're taking a selfie, because normally the logo is on the left side chest a little bit lower. You wouldn't even see it half the time. But here it's up real high, like on my collarbone. But anyway, like for the longest time, I was like, Arahi. Then they had what was the other one? They had that one. It was not like, I mean, they've got, I mean, already of the shoes that they still have, Arahi, Clifton, Mafate, Speedgoat, Bondi. You know, there's a lot of things that are hard to kind of keep straight. I get that. But then they used to have a lot more models before. And I didn't really understand what the difference was for them. I think this was like around like Clifton 3 time. There was just a whole bunch of different shoes that were all kind of the same. And they all had very different weird names. And I just couldn't figure them out. I was like, I can't look at these guys. There's too much happening. I don't understand. And then around Clifton 5, that's when I started. Maybe it was Clifton 6 that I started paying attention to what they were doing. Michael Chang says, what's up, Co? Checking in while spinning on Trainer Road. Very cool. So have you guys been seeing what has DC Rainmaker been talking about? He's saying that Zwift is going to buy, or he thinks that Zwift is going to buy, is it Trainer Road or Training Peaks? I don't know which one. I don't understand. I mean, I don't use any of those. I mean, I like Zwift. I've used Zwift before. And I have a Training Peaks account. I had to set it up for a watch. I forget which watch I was using. Maybe it was the Coros. But I mean, I don't really know what the difference is with all those. John Brooks says, as far as the fast R goes, Molly Seidel is training in it. You can see it in the recent Insta and Strava posts. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I mean, it'll be really interesting to see what that the heel foam is like. I have a feeling that's going to be a little bit strange. But maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be amazingly awesome. Today I saw it was snowing out today. And well, it wasn't snowing too bad, but there was a lot of snow drifts. And I saw like ahead of me footprints, and I'm like, those look like alpha fly footprints. And I'm like, someone's running in the snow in alpha flies. Well, I'm like, oh wait, I've done that before. So I saw that, and then I saw the guy running in it, and then we kind of like did a wave. I'm like, oh, alpha flies. So I think that like that's a very noticeable footprint. I think the fast R footprint is also going to be very noticeable. Adam says Mizuno has some great names like the Wave Goodbye. Their names are confusing, I will say, but mainly because I think I don't understand the product line very much. Like the Wave Inspire, I still don't know. I think that's what I have. I have a Mizuno shoe right now, and I actually kind of like it. It's the one with the foam that looks like Power Run or Boost. And there's parts of it that feel a little bit sloppy, parts that feel a little bit not exactly how I like it, but there's like hints. I'm like, oh, there's a good shoe in here. It's not exactly this one, but there could be a good shoe in here. They've got like the core of it that they need. And then, but I don't know what the name of it. I can never remember it because everything has the word Wave in it. So I find that to be a little bit confusing. And then even with ASICs too, until TRE, until like 2 months ago, I could never keep the Nimbus and the Cumulus straight. I was like, I don't understand the difference. What? Wait, which one is which? I don't know. Now I can remember it. One is more their max cushion or cushioned, and the other one is a daily trainer. Brian Battaglia says the Skechers and Adidas names are confusing with the multiple words. That's for sure. The Skechers ones, yes, because there's always like 8 words. And then Adidas, because they're like, is there a time where like when they have adios, I don't understand when they do and don't have adios. So that I find like confusing. Because like the Ultra Boost doesn't have the word adios in it. And like, what is it? The Supernova Solar Blast. Supernova. I think Supernova was a shoe that they had. The Solar Blast doesn't have the word adios in it, but the Boston has adios in it, right? Does Takumi-sen have adios? I don't think Takumi-sen has adios in it. So like, it doesn't even make sense if it's just the racing shoes or what. I don't know. Angel Johnson says recommendations for a Gore-Tex trail shoe for someone with wide foot who overpronates. I think that I don't know. Gore-Tex is like going to be the harder one because like if you're just looking for a road shoe, I think the Ghost comes in wide and there's a Ghost Gore-Tex. So that could be one. Trying to think. The Peg Trail comes in Gore-Tex. I don't know if it comes in wide. But it is a roomier Nike. So depending on how much you need the wide foot, wide size, maybe it's something that you can get away with. And then I'm trying to think of what other Gore-Tex shoes. Oh, that construction's back. I hadn't heard it for a while. Well, I guess I was gone for a while, but even the last couple of days, I hadn't heard it, but now it's back today. Adam says, innovates are all numbered by the gram weight. F-Light 240 is 240 grams. That makes a lot of sense. I think they tried to do the same thing with the Adidas Terex ones. Like mine says 299 on it. And there's another one that's lighter that says 240, more like their race one. It has no boost, but it has light strike. So, yeah. David counts. They should just give shoes people names, like the Eric. That'd be funny. Like the Adidas Eric. Like, I mean, can you imagine like the shoe review? Like today we're putting the Eric versus the Allen. Right? That'd be pretty funny. It's kind of like when people give like dogs just regular people names. I think I like that too. I think that's funny. Eric Perriman says, "Yeah, I want to buy some Hoka duds." Oh, I like that. Oh, I love it. Running and Pizza says, "What are good entry level mid distance spikes? 5,000 meter, 3,000 meter, and the mile first year racing track." I'm not the right person to ask for that one. I wouldn't. I have bought one pair of spikes in the last 20 years. It was the Adidas Avanti, Avanti, I think. I got them on Running Warehouse. It was pretty cheap. I like Running Warehouse that's where I went to buy spikes, and I would recommend you take a look at that because they sort their spikes by distance. So you've got sprinter spikes. You got jumper spikes, sprinter spikes, and then you've got middle distance and long distance. So I think that if you're looking at 5,000, 3,000 and mile, I think those are considered long distance spikes. So you might be looking at the longer distance. I don't know for entry level. I'm not sure. The Adidas ones that I bought, I think I got them for like either $60 or $80. So it wasn't a lot for them. And I felt like they did a great job. I think because of the way I run funny, though, I always lose the outermost spike on my right foot. I think just the way that my foot kind of kicks out. Whatever I'm doing, it makes that spike always come loose. So even when I tested the Hoka Cielo, the middle distance ones, even just one day of doing some strides, and then Jamie and I raced to 200. Just that, I lost a spike at the end of that day. So it sounds like someone's playing like a really sad trombone upstairs. Frank says, "What about when they had the Adizero Adios Pro and the Adios Pro as two different shoes?" My goodness, that was so terrible. I remember that day when they got announced, because I was doing a live stream at my Uncle Cecil's house in the basement in Iowa, in Guttenberg. And someone was like, "Hey, are you going to get the Adios Pros?" I'm like, "Dude, these shoes that I've got right here, I'm holding them." I had them like sitting behind me. I'm like, "These shoes that are in the back of the shot here, I'm holding them. This is them." He's like, "No, that's not it. There's another one." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" "This is the Adizero Adios Pro." And he's like, "No, there's an Adjust Adios Pro. It just got announced today." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I had to like Google it real fast. That was a mistake. That was a blunder. And the shoe wasn't good. The shoe wasn't good either. So. Scott says, "Thinks you make a Solomon chicharrones." There we go. That would make me think of like, oh, salmon chicharrones? That sounds good. Ben Young says, "Personally, I'm not sure on how the Alpha and Vaporflies intermix with the percent signs and vice versa. Mostly because I wasn't watching short releases when they each debuted." Yeah. So there was the Vaporfly 4%. That was the first one. Then they never made a Vaporfly 4% 2. Everyone thought they were going to make a 5% and just call it 5% to indicate that it was one more than the 4%, even if it wasn't a 5% efficiency improvement. But instead, they went 4% Vaporfly, 4% Flyknit. And the 4% came from the fact that their studies said that you were 4% more efficient when running in these shoes, which over the course of a marathon could equal, several seconds, even up to a couple minutes, depending on, who you are. So then the version 2 was the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit. And then instead of a Flyknit 2 or a version 3, they went to the next percent. So instead of, again, going to 5%, which everyone thought they were going to do, they went to next percent. And then they made a next percent 2. So those are like the 4 iterations of that one. And then I'm not sure. Everyone just called it the Alpha Fly, but I think there's 5 words in it. I think it's Vapor Fly. No, it's just Alpha. Is it called the Alpha Fly? Or is there like Zoom X, Nike Zoom X, Alpha Fly? I don't know. I think there's multiple words to it. But I don't know. I think maybe it's just called the Alpha Fly though. I don't know. I haven't looked at the listing in a long time. But so there was like those 4 that are kind of like in the series, and then the Alpha Fly came. Although really it's a 2 and a 2. And then so like the Vapor Flies are one thing, the next percents are another thing, and the Alpha Flies are another thing. Really. Sean Marshall said, if I had a shoe company, all the names would be verbally abusive, like Run Faster, you blank. Oh my goodness. I don't know. What would I do if I had them named? I don't know. My first inclination, I don't know. I think I would just call it like, if I had a shoe company, I would just call it the Kofuzi Daily, the Kofuzi Speed or Tempo. Although there's a New Balance Tempo, and that shoe ended up not being that great. And then like the Kofuzi Racer. I don't know. I think that's what I would do. Make it really, really boring. But I think then on the other hand, like the opportunity you're missing though, then is like search engine optimization, and potentially then there's some trademark problems that may arise from that too. Well, I don't know what they're cutting up there, but it's doing a lot of cutting. I can hear it. Daniel says, a trivia topic. Is this an actual Nike shoe or a randomly generated series of motivational phrases? I think that's pretty funny. Because Nike makes so many shoes, like especially like the kinds that they sell at like Dick's or like the other big box stores. Like I don't think they sell those any. Like I think that they do it to get like Nike exclusives, quote unquote. Maybe I'll do that. Like, is this a Nike shoe or not? Or did I just make up some words? I think we might have to do that, Daniel. Martha thinks that there should be a long run shoe called the Slow R for those of us who do our long runs a little too fast. I doubt it would sell. I don't think people would buy that shoe. I don't know. I have a feeling. Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't know if that'll work. Adam says you need a co-pilot like Ginger to monitor the comments while you're talking. Train your dog or kid. Yeah, maybe we could do something like that. I think I used to be a little bit better about it. Now I'm getting like a little. I used to be able to read and still talk to you guys at the same time, and now I don't know. Maybe my mind's getting a little foggy on that. Maybe I lost my edge a little bit. All right, Martha's checked it for us. She says that neither the Boston or the Takumi-sen have adios in their names. That makes no sense. Because if adios is supposed to be their premier line, then why is it the Takumi-sen? I mean, I've always kind of thought that Takumi-sen sat separately, but it seems like this year they're trying to like fold it into like everything else that they've got. So I don't know. And then the problem with having adios is the same. It's the same problem as the Adizero that they had in there. Are they still using the prefix or the adjective Adizero? Because there's a shoe called the Adios. So when you have like the Adios Pro, I mean, Adios and Adios Pro makes sense. But like if it's the Adios Prime X, like that makes no sense. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. Martha saying she saw that the Glycerin 20 slates that come out in March And we were talking about that the other day. I think that's a good time for that shoe to come out. I look forward to it. I think I'm probably going to wait for the knit version to come out because I have a feeling that they probably won't come out at the same time. I'm going to wait for that knit version, even though it's going to be a little bit heavier. David Callan says, as far as Gore-Tex wide shoes, so the Saucony Peregrine comes in Gore-Tex, and the Salomon Speedcross 5 GTX comes in wide. So if you're looking for that Gore-Tex wide, Salomon Speedcross it is. But that's a pretty aggressive trail shoe, though, right? Yeah, I think that's pretty aggressive. And it says, I got a hard time when I called my first border collie Sally. A farmer said it wasn't a collie name. I told him it was my collie's name. What are collie names? Like Bandit? Like things like that? I guess that makes sense. Why did he care? I don't know. That's a little bit weird. Andrew says he still has his high school sprint spikes in the garage. I bought a middle distance pair of spikes last year for some track work. There you go. You didn't want to use the high school spike? Oh, they're sprint spikes. That's why. I see. Yeah, I do not still have my high school. I mean, I use the same pair of spikes for high school and college. Not that I ran that long in college, but yeah, and I don't know where they are. I don't remember throwing them away, but at some point I must have been like, not gonna need these anymore. Let's see. Luis wants to know, is Buddy making a smoothie? What is that noise? Yeah, they're doing some construction upstairs. So I have a feeling what they're doing is, I don't know. Uh-oh. Sorry, I lost the camera. It's almost time to go. Where is my... There we go. So this wall over here, when all the other units converted from apartments to condos, the kitchen's behind there. And all the other units have taken these walls out. And I think that this is one of the few units left in the building that's kind of like looks original. And but upstairs unit must be one of the few remaining original units, because it sounds like they're cutting through the walls. Now the walls here are like a really thick plaster on diamond lath. So in Chicago, because after the Great Fire, like you can't, I mean, I think it's that way in most cities now, but Chicago was a place that adopted it early, was that you can't like build, they have very aggressive fire codes. So you can't build, so I think even buildings made a long time ago didn't have very like robust fireproofing type of materials. So anytime you try to take down any of these walls, everyone's like, oh, just knock down a wall. And you see like on TV, they take a sledgehammer and it's fun and you like kick through it and all, and drywall comes out. That's not how the walls are in this building. It's basically like taking down concrete, some of these walls. So that's what all that cutting is. They're probably cutting through all that diamond lath that's behind here. That stuff is like super thick. It's not like chicken wire. It's like metal grating. So I think that's what they're cutting through. All right, guys, that's going to be a good place to leave it for today. Thanks for coming along on the ride. Today was kind of a different kind of live stream. But hopefully you guys had a good time. I found a product that I actually like, this Laird Superfood Creamer. I'm not going to have it with every cup of coffee that I have, but I can see myself having it, maybe once a day of my many cups of coffee that I have. So I like that one. And we'll see if the medium chain triglycerides actually do anything for me. Tomorrow's video, I'm going to talk about, I'm not sure how I'm going to talk about it, but and one of the things I'm going to talk about is waterproof socks that I've been running in. A new company sent me some waterproof socks. I've been running them in the past couple of days in all this snow. And normally I'm like, waterproof socks don't bother. These, I actually do really like them a lot. So I'll be talking about that tomorrow's video. And then we'll do another live stream for Friday, same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully I'll see you then. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.